Och där är det återigen den här första formationen som får bollen att gå på ett snöre.
Hi everyone, back again with another video. In this video, I'm going to look at a goal scored by Endre, the yellow team, against Sirius, the white team, in the women's SSL in a recent match. Endre have the ball here at the moment and they are attacking this way. In particular, I'm going to have a look at how Endre use the net to create a 2-on-1, and I'll diagram that out and explain how it can be used. So I'll just move through a little bit further here so we can get into the analysis. Okay, so right now the ball is with this player here. It's basically come down the boards through this player and been moved on. So I'll just quickly look at the defensive pairings, who is responsible for who, as it makes the offense easier to analyze. So you can see here the pairs are quite clear. We have a pair here, we have a pair here with the ball carrier, we have a pair in front of the net, and we have a pair here. So each white player is fairly clear about who they are responsible for. And as that moves through, you'll see it changes a little bit. Okay, so you can see that the pairs have now changed. This is now a pair, and this number 2 in white has left the number 12 player back here. Fair enough. This is still a pair here, and this player seems to now be paired up with this player here, whereas originally it was this white number 17's defensive pair. So you can see that the defensive team, white, they do outnumber the yellow team around their own net, which is a good thing. Essentially, this yellow number 12 is somewhat out of the play. So yellow are playing 3 against 4 here. So if you were on the defensive team, you would hope or you would expect that you would be able to manage the situation since you have numerical superiority. Now here is where the interesting movement takes place. What happens here is the ball carrier continues behind the net, and the white player responsible for taking care of them, this player here, stops at the side of the net here. They do not follow the yellow player behind the net. What that in turn creates is an outnumbering situation on the far post. There are 2 yellow players playing a momentary 2-on-1 against 1 white player here. So even though the white team has numerical superiority in the area, the yellow team has managed to generate an outnumbering situation, a 2-on-1, where it counts, which is where the ball is. And you can see that right now is the moment that this player here decides to switch their responsibility. They've moved away from this player and towards the ball carrier, and that is where they get caught out. The moment that this player decides to switch, the ball carrier simply makes a pass to the yellow player that has been left free. And that is to the yellow team's favor because the player that is being left free actually has a chance to shoot and score, whereas the ball carrier is behind the net and no matter what they do, they can't shoot the ball in from there. So just to recap, the white number 27 who is following the ball carrier stops at the side of the net. The ball carrier continues and it results in a 2-on-1 against the white number 78 at the far post, and that's where the white team gets punished. This is a really good illustration of how the back of the net can be used to create momentary 2-on-1s and outnumbering situations, even when the attackers are outnumbered in the general area of play. So for the sake of simplicity in these diagrams, I'm going to assume it's a 2-on-2. It's essentially 2 forwards against 2 defensemen. And that's really what happens in the video. It's 2-on-2, and the yellow team manages to manipulate that into a 2-on-1. None of the other players really get involved in the play on the white or the yellow team. So the basic premise to implement something like this would be, firstly, you need to get to the back of the net with the ball under control. But from there, you're just going to test whether or not the defensive team is going to follow the ball carrier behind the net, or if they're going to stop at the side of the net like they did in the video. If they do stop at the side of the net, then the ball carrier simply continues to the other side of the net, and there should be a 2-on-1 on that side. Now, to maximize your chances of scoring, you would want your forward on the opposite side moving away from the net a little bit, either towards the top of the box or out at an angle, so that the defenseman that they have the 2-on-1 against needs to make a decision as to which player they are going to take. If they move to the ball carrier like they did in the clip, then the pass should be made to the other forward for a quick shot. If they stay with their initial defensive assignment, then as that forward moves away from the net, it's going to create space for the ball carrier to dribble into and potentially get a shot themselves in tight, close to the net. The other defenseman will probably have trouble getting there in time because they've stopped at the side of the net and they have to go around the goalkeeper's box and the goalkeeper. Now, what happens if the defenseman who is assigned to the ball carrier does not stop at the side of the net and they continue to pressure the ball carrier even as they switch sides behind the net? In that case, what the ball carrier would do as they are being followed is attempt to what's called hang the defenseman on the net. What they would do is they would take a route out from behind the net that allowed them to escape, but if the defenseman continues on the inside of them, they're going to collide with the back of the net. So this will force the defenseman to stop and fall in behind. And then again, there'll be 2 attackers on the opposite side of the net with either space to dribble into or a free player to pass to. Now, the other forward should still make the same movement away from the net to either create space for the ball carrier or to test if their defenseman is going to switch so that the pass can be made. Now, you could use this same tactic when entering the area behind the net, so you could try and hang the defenseman on the near post before you actually get behind the net, but this requires that you approach the back of the net from a certain angle. In the video, the yellow attacker goes to the net from the corner. Now, from that angle, it's going to be very difficult to hang the defenseman on the close side of the net unless the defenseman decides to stop there themselves. If the defenseman is applying pressure and they close that gap, the only option the attacker has to hang them on the net is when exiting on the far side. They can take a nice tight line and the defenseman will have to stop either by virtue of running into the net, or you would think that they would slow down and fall in behind the attacker as they exit that area. So that's pretty much all I have to say for this video. I thought this goal was a great example of how to use the net to create a numerical advantage and a scoring opportunity. So let me know what you think. I hope you found the diagrams useful and the explanations of how this could be implemented. Obviously, they are only a few possibilities. There are so many possibilities with using the back of the net in the offensive zone. This is just the bit that I thought was illustrated well by this clip. So please let me know what you think. If you've got any other ideas of how the net can be used. I'd love to hear those, particularly if you have clips
that can be analyzed like this one.
But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Och där är det återigen den här första formationen som får bollen att gå på ett snöre.